Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. And today I have just a brief kind of bonus for you to get you through. Very interesting experiences, though. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's bonus, shall we? Today's first encounter. In August of 2006, I was working in Northern California and was interested in finding Bigfoot prints. I have a friend who's a member of the Hoopa First Nation. I contacted him and then spoke to an elder. I was taken to an area where some footprints had just been found. Being skeptical, I took my right boot off and stepped down next to the footprint. I'm 7'1" and weigh about 395 and wear a size 17 street shoe and a size 19 boot, as boot sizes are often mislabeled. I'm Lakota Sioux lineage and speak a number of First Nation languages. After putting on my boots, we heard a screaming howl and my friend started saying, "Oma is coming and we have to leave." My friend Dave told the elder about what I had done and we went back to the site 3 hours later. There were numerous large footprints surrounding mine and what I believe to be a large finger hole in the middle of my footprint. I was contacted a couple weeks later and invited back to the reservation, as they normally lose a good portion of their apple crop due to Oma, but in 2006 they didn't lose anything. They wanted to know if I could come back every year and walk around barefoot to intimidate Oma, and if I had any big friends my size. Oma either saw me with a much shorter native person and thought I was another Oma, or recognized the footprint as a threat. The elder thought Oma didn't want a confrontation with something almost as big as he and left the area. The Oma footprint was the same length as mine, but 1.5 inches wider at the ball and 3/4 of an inch wider at the heel. The depth of the print was the same. Today's second encounter is a subscriber encounter in regards to Dogman and Anasazi legend and lore. Hey Jeff, I can tell you only one true story of the werewolf or Dogman in White Mountains. A buddy of mine, he was of Apache and Navajo descent. His dad told us he was traveling from the White Mountains late in midnight hours, traveling slow on the winding roads that would weave through the thickly forested White Mountains in a pickup truck. He heard something bang in the back of the bed of his truck. He switched on the cargo light and was staring at what he called a werewolf-type creature. He freaked out, nearly going off the road in his attempt to correct the truck swerving. The creature was thrown out on the roadside. He was a man of integrity. He was not anyone to bullshit people. Some Apache friends I have had confirmed the history of this creature dating way back, of a creature half man, half wolf in appearance. There is also Bigfoot-type creatures as well, seen by the Apache, and also that live along the waterways on the Navajo Nation. The creatures in that region are said to be tall and lanky, shiny, and not so thick, shaggy hair. I know a Navajo woman whose family told her of some that live around Farmington, New Mexico, along the remote small creeks that flow year-round. I've not seen any of those creatures. I've experienced hauntings on my property in the remote region south of the petrified forest. There is Anasazi ruins everywhere there. Pottery laying everywhere, arrowheads, all kinds of artifacts. I've watched ghostly orbs floating around the main ruin one night in particular. 100 or so little white glowing round balls of light, dancing on the hilltop where the large ruin site sits. I moved on top of the hill in the last few years of me being on that property, which I have lived on for over half of my life. I had respect not to move on the hilltop for many, many years. I'd gotten a bigger trailer, and only place flat enough for it was on the hilltop aside of the main ruin. I felt I broke a sacred promise I made to myself and moved up there, and our home became very haunted. Noises and things that go bump in the night. There was a strange energy there. They could touch you at times. Most of the paranormal activity occurred around 1 in the morning till just before dawn. Believe it or not, you actually become used to it and live with it. There was a solar light that ended up under the trailer. It stayed there for years. It was also on. That little light never went out, even in the frigid winter. Not ever seeing daylight to charge the battery, but nonetheless, the little light never went dark. It was being energized from the ground. My son and I lived there. I became very sick, and I'm still very sick. I moved to town about a year ago, and I just sold the property that I owned for over 26 years. I paid $14,000 for the land and sold it for $5,000. The spirit of the Anasazi not only can torment you while you're awake, but can haunt your dreams with very dark things. I lived at peace for many, many years out there, being blessed with the gifts from the spirit world, until I broke my pack and moved on sacred ground. There is too much to tell you about. I can't type that much, Jeff. There is dark things here. Gorgeous, beautiful country as well. One needs to be careful what they touch or where they go. It can cost a life, and it's real as you and me. Myself and a young man, a friend, entered a haunted place of Anasazi. I left tobacco offerings while he scoffed about what I was doing. This young 23-year-old died of mysterious causes not long after that night. I'm sorry, what I have to say tonight is not exciting, but it's the truth. Tonight's third encounter. 3 Amish men were working in their field near Strasburg in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, when an odd-looking man approached them from the direction of the neighboring farm. The man was yelling and jumping about. The Amish men were alarmed and noticed that this man had arms and legs and a face that seemed different, more animal than human. He had coarse, dark hair on his limbs and face and wore what appeared to be a dark coat and tattered pair of old-style boxer shorts. As the man-creature approached closer, he was yelling something, but was not understood by the men. The men ran towards their home, and the man-creature was right behind them. One of the Amish men ducked into the dairy barn, and the other 2 immediately went into the home. An elder Amish woman who had been in the garden came to see what was going on. When the man-creature saw her, it suddenly stopped running, sat down in the grass, and remained quiet while staring at the sky. The men came out of their house, and one of them slowly walked over to the man-creature and attempted to talk to it. The man-creature continued to look at the sky, but started to mumble. The men and women noticed a horrible stench permeating from the creature and described it as rotten flesh. After several minutes, the creature got to its feet and started to walk towards the dairy barn. As it did, the witness noticed that the creature started to fade away. Eventually, it completely disappeared from view just before it reached the barn. Shocked, the Amish witnesses dropped to their knees, not knowing what they had just witnessed. This account was passed down by one of the witnesses to a non-Amish friend who periodically purchased produce from them. Historically, wild men and or Bigfoot-like creatures have become a part of the Lancaster-York County folklore. There have been sightings as old as the earliest settlers in this area, as well as the Susquehannock people who inhabited the land previously. In 1987, there was a conversation with a self-described shaman whose native relatives had moved to Ohio, after many others were killed off by smallpox and invading settlers. The Susquehannocks were said to be giants by John Smith and the early settlers. Most were described as being well over 6 foot high and broad-chested. The shaman stated that the Susquehannocks had placed a curse on the land before they left, and the dead would rise as shapeshifters and torment the white men. In the 80s, there was an encounter that occurred not too far from State College, PA. A 19-year-old local resident happened to be looking out of his bedroom window, which provided an excellent view of the pasture just west of his home. It was early morning, about 6 in the morning, but there was plenty of light to see clearly. He was in the process of getting ready for work. When he looked out his window, he noticed a tall, hairy creature walking in the pasture, coming from the north. The creature was taking long, smooth strides, and its arms moved back and forth as a human's would. It did not appear to have a neck, but capable of turning its head as it was constantly looking around. Except for the face, the creature was covered entirely with brown or black medium-length hair. The witness was able to see a face and noticed that the forehead protruded distinctly. Also, it appeared the nose was wide and pushed close to the face. The height was approximately 8 feet tall. As the witness observed, the creature continued walking until it was south of the house. Suddenly, the creature stopped walking when the witness noticed 2 other similar creatures join it. Both were about a foot shorter than the first. At this point, one of the creatures reached down and picked up a piece of lumber that was part of the new shed being built. The creature started walking swiftly towards the house until within 50 feet of the residence. It stopped suddenly, made a loud grunting sound, and glared toward the window from where the witness was watching. The witness ducked and crawled to the far end of the bedroom. After a few minutes, the witness got up and looked out the window. The creatures were gone. Later that day, the witness and a friend discovered large, unusual tracks in the pasture. One local police officer knew about this happening, and he was convinced that the witness was understanding and honest, but very private. The witness did move away from the area not long after the encounter, fearing the creature would harm him. Well, folks, there you have it. Today's bonus upload. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. A little shorter than normal, but the experiences are still the same. Just thought-provoking and very chilling. With that, thank you for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that keeps the channel growing and going. And honestly, what gives people a chance and a place for them to share their experiences and theories judgment-free, simply treated with the respect we all deserve. Everyone stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real, they are out there, and they're definitely dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for answers, and God bless.